All right, we're live. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to vCluster Fridays. Today, we're going to be talking about kagent or kagent, however you want to call it. I'm sure there's going to be people saying it both ways everywhere now, and I'm joined by Christian. Let me go ahead and bring up the page. And Christian, what do you do? Where do you work? Are you working at, I guess, Solo IO, maybe with the hat, or are you just like representing?
Yeah, no, I work at Solo. I'm a global field CTO at solo.io. I work on the emerging product side of the house. So the stuff that we're building on top of our existing solutions, focused on AI. Particularly, I would say what I'm most interested in right now is the AI identity and access management side of the house. So
Awesome.
That's what I've been working on. Yeah.
So how you been working on Kubernetes for a while? What did you do before Kubernetes? Were you
Yeah,
OpenStack or did you do VMs or something? Or
no, not that far. Well, certainly VMs. I was at Red Hat from 2011 to 2018.
Okay.
So right in the heyday of
Rev
Kubernetes. Yeah, Docker and Kubernetes, all that stuff. Yeah. So yeah, no, I've been working on that for a really long time.
Awesome. All right, so I guess we'll talk about the thing that we're talking about today. What is kagent or kagent? What is it? What gaps does it fill?
Yeah, we have people say, even internally, say it both ways. Kagent. I think I say kagent. We definitely have, I think the product people call it kagent. So some of them. So you can call it however you want, but it is a. So what we noticed here at Solo is, so first of all, we were building agents internally to help out with kind of our product support scenarios where we get our users, our customers, we bring them into Slack or Teams or something, and we have basically they have direct communication with us and our engineers. But then when they're running into issues or asking questions about best practices or trying to troubleshoot something, we go through the same dance where we're like, all right, well, what's in the logs? Send us your metrics, send us this thing, and then we go and look in GitHub and maybe look in the code or try to reproduce things locally. So there's a lot of that. It's similar across a lot of the customers. And so what we did is we started building agents to help automate and improve what that workflow looks like. Agents can very quickly go through a gigantic, megabytes of logs and metrics and stuff and try to pick out patterns and suggest next steps and correlate that with the documentation and correlate that with the GitHub issues or internal ticket tracking. So we started doing that, and all of our stuff's based on Kubernetes, and we realized there is not a good agent framework that takes Kubernetes into account as a first-class citizen. And so that was the genesis. That's why we decided, hey, let's build this. Let's build it the way we would want to use it on Kubernetes, using custom resources, focusing on the important parts and bits of an agentic system, which is give it tools, give it a nice structured system prompt, connect it up to LLMs, AI models of your choice. Bring your own if you need. And deploy it on Kubernetes. And so that's exactly what kagent is. And I think what we open sourced it back in the beginning of 2025, and it's gotten a lot of interest. Right? Yeah, it's gotten a lot of interest. We donated it to the CNCF a little bit after that, and now we've got a lot of interest. The community's building a lot of big partnerships that we'll probably be announcing here in the near future. So yeah, it's been pretty exciting.
And when you say stuff you looked at before, what were you looking at besides kagent to do this kind of thing? I know I did the search too, and I found a couple of things, and I was like, this doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't natively run there. It's
we looked at all the agent frameworks that everybody else looks at. So LangChain, Crew, and we ended up, actually, it's funny, we actually decided we were just going to build our own framework internally to begin with. Actually, we built it in TypeScript. And we realized even then that all right, we can do this. If we're going to do this on Kubernetes, we can do it a little bit better. So we went through looking at what everybody's looking at. We ended up saying, all right, well, we don't really need all that. Let's build it ourselves. And then we said, all right, well, let's make this more Kubernetes native and open source it. We think other people would be interested in this as well.
So say Solo's doing all this stuff with like AI and everything. Is it a pivot, or like what would you call it? What would you call all this new AI stuff from Solo?
No, it's a good question. So no, it's not a pivot at all. We're still heavily invested in. So what Solo does is what we call cloud networking. So layer 7 gateways, service mesh, that kind of stuff. So the founders and creators of Istio, for example, are here at Solo. They came over, I don't know, a few years ago now. We've been working on modern API gateways built on Envoy proxy since the beginning of the company. And so what we're doing is a layer on top of that, because if you look at things like I said, I've been really heavily into the agent IAM stuff. If you look at how you want to start building agent identity, tying in with policy and access management, all that stuff, that's core. That's the foundation is Istio, right? Some sort of service mesh. Otherwise, you're going to build out stuff yourself. And so on top of that, what we're interested in is supporting those platform engineering agentic use cases, right? Because AI and agents are, that's what everybody's doing. Everybody's looking at trying to figure it out. And so we see kagent as the layer on top of the things that you need, the plumbing and the networking that you need to secure all of that community. Because if you look at the other frameworks and what people are doing in the wild with AI, and I talk with our customers and even internally inside their organizations where they have platform engineering teams, and then they have the security team, and they have the AI team and the data team and all that. The AI folks, they want to build stuff and do it and use it, but they're not thinking about security.
Yeah,
they're not. And then when you start, pointing some of these things out to them, they're like, "Wow, we would never have thought about that." And so that's where these pieces need to come together, right, inside these organizations. And we feel like we are, we want to be in that spot where we're helping connect those bridges and making it work in enterprise.
Yeah, it's like I install an LLM or something like that on Kubernetes, and then I put ingress in front of it, and I just share it with people. But there's no auth. There's nothing else. Yeah. Like if I share it publicly, some reason on accident, someone just could be hitting my model all the time and just like using up all my compute, and like I'm not even making sure that they're actually there. It's like that kind of stuff too, like adding auth in front of it, making it easier to give access to people. I think like a couple of years ago, I looked at like Kubeflow and that kind of stuff, and all this stuff is built on top of all of this other stuff, right? So like, how I installed kagent is pretty easy, right? But how does like this fit on all of the other stuff that you're adding in? Like people start Kubernetes, and then Kubernetes is already hard, right? Like at what point are people usually coming in and starting to look at like Istio and like the stuff that you're building?
Yeah,
that's a weird question, but.
So Istio, thankfully, within the last few years, has gotten much, much easier.
Yeah.
All right. So Istio Ambient, which is basically you deploy some daemons to your nodes, and then you automatically get MTLS between all your applications. Right. It's so simple. I give you an anecdote. Like one of our first customers on Ambient was they hadn't committed to a service mesh. They had explored Istio in the past. And it took them probably 3 weeks or so, 3 to 4 weeks to POC and get it working the way they needed it in their environment on the sidecar version. And then they looked at other meshes, and they decided, okay, we're not ready for that. And then fast forward to when this is a couple years ago now, when they started looking at, all right, we're going to look at service mesh. Cilium service mesh looks interesting because it doesn't have sidecars. Oh, but Istio is doing something without sidecars now. And then they started POCing, and it literally, I'm not making this up, it blew us away. It took them one afternoon to get Istio Ambient up running the way that they wanted it. And then, so like they were our first customer on that here at Solo. So getting that piece in, the MTLS piece in, is much easier these days.
Yeah.
And then from there, things like agents want to connect to LLMs. Agents want to connect to MCP servers. Agents want to connect to other agents. How do you secure and observe that traffic? Especially since, one of the things that we found is that these protocols are extremely body sensitive, right? What's in the payload matters a lot. In the past, with traditional reverse proxies, they didn't really look at and inspect the body. It was not common. You could do it, but it wasn't common. You would look at the headers, you would look at the paths, the methods, and then you would do sophisticated routing based on that, or token, check on the tokens and the authorization headers. But with these protocols, they're JSON RPC, they are streaming, they could be stateful. What does that mean to load balance that? You can't load balance those messages, right? So we've built a proxy dedicated to AI and agentic architectures called Agent Gateway. And it's built in Rust. It's built specifically for these use cases. It works complementary to API gateways. And, we made it so that it implements Gateway API and runs nicely in Kubernetes. So all of this, and will eventually integrate very nicely with Istio. So that's that foundational piece. You can put that there, and it can be behind the scenes. Don't have to think about it, and then build and run your agents with kagent.
It was a great answer. I gave you kind of a weird question. The background of that is more so like trying to get people to use Knative a couple years ago was really hard because they had to know how to install Istio and get that running and stuff. So that was like a huge blocker to get started. But like what we're going to show today, you don't really need to install any of that stuff. You can get started just messing around with it and then start thinking about that stuff when you want to actually add security and everything, which hopefully isn't after you've released it to everybody, right? Like half the stuff is like afterwards. Okay, cool. So let me go ahead and add this back up here. And I think we got a pretty good background on it. So basically, when do you see, this is kind of my question for like how I tell some of my friends to get started with something. When do you see people approaching kagent to install after they just, got their Kubernetes cluster to stuff running? Do you see them just like messing around with it before they look at Istio and all that stuff? Like just come in, start messing around using it to troubleshoot things, like basic things or?
Yeah, exactly. I think one of the biggest is, now it's an agent framework. You can do a lot of stuff with it. You can do anything you can do with agents with it, but it's primarily focused on platform operations. And one of the biggest things for platform operations is, hey, why is this thing not working? And people get started and can show a lot of progress and value just doing that, right? Installing it. Why is this service not working? Why am I getting crashback loops on some of these pods? And then basically, kagent comes with a few agents out of the box that you can start using today. And I think you'll show in some of the demos. It comes with a number of tools, MCP servers out of the box for interacting with things like Kubernetes, things like Istio, things like, Argo or Grafana or whatever.
Tools most people are already using already. Yeah.
Exactly. So just from the hello world experience, you install it into your cluster. And if something's gone wrong in your cluster, you want to debug it, you can say, hey, help me debug. Why is service A not able to talk to service B, right? And it will use the tools to look at things like logs, look at events. It has a connectivity checking tool, and it can start pulling context, pulling information into its session and work with the LLM to what's the next step. Okay, well, I see this thing. Try this. Right, and
through natural language too, right?
Like natural language.
You don't know all the commands yet, but you can learn them through it too, because it'll show you the commands it's going to run.
It can, it can. And basically, what it will do, even that just the first hello world install, help me do this thing, it can help you narrow down. It might not solve everything immediately right out. You have to fine tune it, fine tune the system prompt, and do all that stuff, but it can definitely help you narrow down and focus on the right things. Just step one, right? It's extremely powerful.
All right. Well, let me go. I guess let's go and hop into the demo so we can kind of show off like what some of the stuff looks like. VS Code, and I'm going to show some of the files that I'm going to use. It's a little bit bigger. All right. So I'm going to. Usually, we do these and we're like, hey, we're gonna see if it works in vCluster. I already know this works in vCluster. Like I played around for a little bit just so I can kind of show the demo, but we're gonna install it in vCluster. So you can obviously install this like on the host cluster and get a bunch of information. But what if my use case is something like, hey, I want to install this into vCluster and I want to hide information from my users because I want them to be able to troubleshoot stuff and everything. But like maybe they're a customer, maybe they're something else, and I want them to be able to troubleshoot their stuff on their own. I don't want them to know everything about what's going on the host cluster. I don't want them to know about like some of the flags and stuff I have on the nodes and things like that. So I'm going to start out by just installing it and not syncing nodes. So I'm going to create fake nodes and stuff. So like with my vCluster YAML, I don't know if I should do a background on vCluster. vCluster is like Kubernetes and Kubernetes. I'm running basically a new API on top of Kubernetes. For those that don't know vCluster, I'm hoping most people that are coming kind of have an idea of what vCluster is. I'm going to gloss over that a little bit. And we've got other videos if you want to catch up on that and then come back here. But I'm going to start out with a vCluster YAML. So this is going to be the 0.27 version. So I can do certain things like, match expressions and stuff like that. I'm going to pull in something so I can ask, kagent if it's installed. Basically, I've got a GPU operator and everything installed on my host cluster, and I'm going to sync this so that I can get runtime classes. So if I need to run a new model or something like that the kagent can access, I can do that. So my vCluster YAML's here. I'm going to sync ingress classes too, because I'm going to expose the kagent dashboard and all that stuff so I can access.
I'm just kind of curious, what's the underlying, what's the host cluster? Is it
host cluster is a K3S cluster, 3 VMs,
K3S.
one bare metal, right? So the one bare metal's got a 1080 Ti. I have another computer that's got a 5070 Ti, but it's a little bit harder to support compared to the 1080s with the newer drivers. It's probably good now.
Yeah.
So basically 2404 Ubuntu with K3S running on it, and then a couple of special things like modifying where what's going on in the container D, so I can have the toolkit and all that stuff installed.
Cool.
So like maybe not production, right? If I was doing this in production, I'd use K8, right? Because K3S has inherent problems where things are configured in a different place. So most of the guides are written thinking that you're using K8s instead of K3S, and you don't have to modify Helm installs. Yeah. All right. So basically three VMs on a DL360 from 2012. Right, so something super old, but like something easy to use. All right. So I'm going to install vCluster there. So like if I get my context, I'll get my context and then show you. Right now I'm on a default cluster. If I get nodes, I can see I've got my 4 nodes, and then this MMAI node's actually got the GPU and has the flags for like GPU count of 1 and everything. I'm just doing time slicing because I'm using consumer grade. All right, so I'm going to create the virtual cluster with this, right? Like I'm going to make sure that I'm syncing ingresses, and I can see the ingress class name and all that, so that I can specify it. So let's go ahead and I'm going to create a virtual cluster. So I got all these files here. So vCluster. Actually, I'll copy paste. So you don't have to hear me type the whole time. My keyboard's kind of loud. All right, so let's create a virtual cluster, and we're going to call it vCluster kagent. When we're going to put in the namespace kagent, we're going to say, let's use the vCluster YAML. All right, so this is going to come up. I'm syncing runtime classes and stuff like that. So I could potentially run an AI workload or a workload that needs a GPU in here if I wanted to, like an LLM. I'm going to ask it stuff about that afterwards. I'm cheating on this a little bit, so I'm going to create this, and then I'm going to show you the model that I create for kagent. I'm actually using a little bit better of a model than like the default that I could install in here, because my GPU is only like 11 gigs. So I'm using GPT OSS 20 billion, but it's running on my Mac, the one that I'm streaming from. So we'll see if it slows anything down or whatever.
Okay.
I don't think it will, right? I don't think it will. Like I've got like 32 gigs, and so far it hasn't slowed anything down. So hopefully what's going to happen is I'm going to ask my Kubernetes cluster to come back and talk to my Mac I'm on now, and then give me some information about what I can do. All right, so we've created the vCluster. We can see that our context has changed. I'm running Docker desktop. So what's happened is I've created this, and it's brought up a pod, and the pod's port forwarding for me. So you could put ingress in front of the vCluster if you want to. I'm not doing that here. I'm just using port forwarding so I can interact with it. And then if I get like namespaces and stuff, like I don't have much going here. Now, if I get runtime class, I can see my NVIDIA runtime classes. And if I get my ingress class, I can see that I've also synced up the ingress class. All right, so that's installed. So I'm going to install all the kagent stuff here, right? Like instead of doing it on the host cluster, I guess, I don't know. We haven't seen much stuff with vCluster yet. For the most part, you're installing it on the host cluster so that you can get as much information, right, about what's running and what's going on. So maybe preferably, like if I'm a platform engineer, I'm going to install it on the host cluster. Benefit of maybe doing a vCluster would be that my end users can still use it, but I don't share as much information, and I'm not syncing up the ability to go look at what's running on my underlying cluster to them, right?
Right.
What are users usually doing? Just installing the host cluster and then kind of like fine-tuning permissions and access to it? Or
yeah,
like I guess that
in most of the cases, they're just installing it in directly onto the host cluster for sure. Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. So now what do I got to do next? Next, I need to install the CRDs. So I'm going to install all my CRDs into the, all right, so let's get CRDs first. So I get the CRDs, like I don't have anything installed. Let's go ahead and install all the kagent CRDs, and then I'll get the CRDs again. And this is still in my...
And this is in the vCluster.
This is in the vCluster, yeah. So, and I can show the context and stuff afterwards, just to get back. So there's my context right now is in the vCluster. Let's see if stuff's installed. Everything's installed here. If I vCluster disconnect and go back to the host cluster, I can get CRDs. And I have so many CRDs. There, they're not there. All right, so let's go vCluster list and then connect back into the vCluster agent. All right, cool. So now we're back on the vCluster. I've got the CRDs installed. Now what I need to do is actually, so you can see that here too with Helm list. Let's go ahead and install kagent. So I'm going to install it with a bunch of the flags off just because I don't have all this stuff installed. I just want to make it so it's a little bit cleaner when we see the UI. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to install it with all this stuff disabled. So I'm not using Istio or something like this. It's just like a home lab. But if I was using any of these would be awesome to have. I'm going to leave a couple of the things
so basically,
in there.
Basically, like I said, in the default install, we have a number of agents out of the box. And so what you're saying there is you're going to turn some of those example agents or those sample agents off.
Yeah, so I'm removing some of those because I just want to make it look a little bit cleaner. And like if I'm not using these, I don't want to have them installed. Although it's probably good to install them because they'll give you examples of what you can do, right? So I'm keeping 2 on, I'm using Helm, and I'm using this other one. So like the configuration right now, it's going to default to OpenAI. I'm going to use Ollama. So some of these things are going to deploy automatically with the default, which is going to be OpenAI, and they're not going to be running yet. So I need to change it over to where I'm actually using Ollama.
That makes sense.
All right, so now I've got it installed. It's giving me all this information about like how I can get things, right? Like I can get the agents and stuff that are in there. So it should be like Helm, and it should be like the kagent agent, right? Like they're not running yet. What I need to do next is there is a dashboard, and you could run, kagent dashboard to get that, and it'll port forward for you. But I want ingress. I want ingress so that I can actually interact with it. I'm just using Etsy host, so I'm not doing anything really special with like DNS or anything like that. But let's create the ingress for it so I can open up the UI. And then also, I've got this Ollama model. So I'm going to set up my own model. And this is actually coming right back to my computer that I'm on right now. Like I said, I'm using GPT OSS 20 billion, so I get a little bit better of results. And
one thing I want to point out is like this is a kagent configuration specifying a model that you can use in your agents. And later when you create the agents, you can point to this. But obviously you'll notice like this is in a Kubernetes custom resource, right? All of the configuration in kagent is through custom resources.
Yep, and there it is. Yeah, stop me because I'm gonna talk fast, right? Stop me if you want to explain something because I might be going a little bit too fast to get through it, right? So the idea so far what we've done is we've deployed kagent. So we created a virtual cluster, we deployed kagent, and then we put ingress in front of the dashboard so we can interact with it and we can use the UI there. We could do everything by the through the CLI if we wanted to, right? Like I'll do a couple of things to the CLI, but the UI might be an easy starting point so you can kind of look at the wizard and like figure out how to use it and everything. I'm now creating a custom model because I'm going to use my local Ollama instead of connecting into like a different service. I think OpenAI is the default with like a 4.5 mini, or I don't remember. It's one of those. It's like the default. So we're gonna tell it, hey, we want to use something else. So let's go ahead and create this model config, and I've got a model config, right? So now when I go in, I could actually create an agent. Ignore all this MCP stuff. We'll do that in a minute. All right, let me go ahead and actually bring this up. So now it is going to be under. I put kagent.vcluster.ai is where I put it. All right, and I'm in. All right, so like it's cached.
You'll make that screen a little bigger.
Yeah, I'm gonna make it a little bigger.
Text a little bit. Yeah.
So like these are the 2 default ones that I have added right now. They're using OpenAI GPT 4.1 mini, so I don't want to use those. What I want to do is I want to create my own. So this is where I've only done a little bit, Christian. So like I might need your help with that. But so if I want to create a new agent, I can hit new agent, right? So I need to give it a name. Let's just do something to where I can get resources for Kubernetes, which is kind of similar probably to the one that's the default in there. Is there a way? I guess that's a question. Is there a way I can change?
You can go edit that. Yeah, go into view
my agents.
Oh, is it not going to let you?
I think they're not running yet.
Maybe still, so from the UI, there might be a limitation if it's not ready, then to go to the CRDs to fix it. But yeah, if you change the CRD for Kate's agent to point to your model config you just created, then it should be good.
Let me do that then. That might be more interesting because let's see. Okay, our agents. Let's get the agents again.
Yeah.
In the right namespace. And then let's edit. Is it going to delete it because it's agents. Sorry, agents. And then let's see, where is it? Where's the default?
Model config default.
Yep.
So just change that to be the name of the new whatever the model config is that you added.
All right. And I think I did it here. We'll just do a.
There you go. That one.
GPT. Oh, pasting the wrong spot. All right. I thought I was there. Here we go.
There you go.
Let's see if that updates the UI. It's on there now. It's not running for some reason still. So we'll create a new agent.
Okay.
Which is fine. All right. So now, all right, let's enter an agent name of, we'll just call this, Kubernetes. And then the namespace, I'm going to put it in the kagent namespace. And then, so declarative versus BYO. So I'm going to use probably declarative because I'm going to use the model instead of bringing in another agent that would connect to another model. Is that what it sounds like?
You can bring your own agent. So if you've written an agent in a different framework, you can bring it to kagent.
Okay. So we had a question too from Ingen. Will there soon be Bedrock support in kagent? So they have a lot of AWS customers.
Yeah, we can support Bedrock. Okay, so we can support it right now. If you point kagent to agent gateway, then agent gateway can facilitate the communication to Bedrock directly. Yeah, I'll go check. Or maybe if you get whoever asked the question, if you can check in the GitHub issues also. I'm sure people brought this up. If not, then add it. But yeah, we can make that available. You can theoretically do it right now though with Agent Gateway.
Awesome. So my agent instructions, right? Like this is where I'm really going to write out what I want it to be able to do, what kind of responses I want it to give, how deep I want it to go for some things maybe too. But like I want you to be super verbose versus I want you to just give me easy output, right? Something like that maybe. And then like I want you to be rude or something like that instead of I want you to be like super nice. This is where like I'm describing stuff and I'm really like, I'm not going to put a lot of stuff in here right now, but like I'm really going to probably spend some time thinking about this because this is what, as the docs say, this is what I can control. I can't control if the user is going to ask what they're going to do. This is what I can control. So I can put in as much information here. And as we've learned with most LLMs, the more information you give it, the more context, the better result you're going to get.
Right? Exactly. And so that's why when I was saying earlier, fine tune the agent, it's this part. So you can put you can put thought into building the agent instructions or the system prompt here up front. But what you're going to find is as you're working with the agent and it starts thinking about doing it this way or that way, and you want to guide it a little bit more prescriptively, then you'll find yourself updating these instructions with more detail, giving it examples. Hey, do this in my environment, not that. Check. Maybe always check with GitHub if you're going to be making changes and so on. So yeah, little by little, you will see how it behaves and then figure out what things to do to guide it.
Is there versioning for this? Like, or basically like, so like say I do an awesome instructions and somehow I lose it. Is there versioning for this? Or like, how am I doing version 1, version 2?
It's all custom resources. So you can put it in Git. Yeah.
Awesome. So like, yeah. So like if I have a version that everybody likes, maybe say like 4.0 or something like that. And then I upgrade to 5 for some reason, everybody hates it. I can go back to 4, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. So one thing that I'm adding in there too is because like, by the defaults, for some reason, sometimes it gives me human readable content. Sometimes it just gives me the output and then like markdown and stuff like that too. So I'm just going to say, we'll see if this helps anyways. Always give me output in clear text that is human readable, right? Because sometimes it'll give me that. Sometimes it'll give me the command and then it'll give me just like the basic output. So I don't know if that's just based on like what I have on there. All right. So I'm also picking the model that I'm using. So the model that I've configured is the model that I'm running here. And then I don't have any memories or anything like that right now. So what would I do with memories? What would I connect that into? So that's like RAG or what would I?
Yeah, it's so we have the ability, if you connect memory up to a database, Pinecone, I think is the one we support in, that was the initial implementation. Then what you can have the agent go basically query, look in Pinecone for maybe things you've done in the past. That was the idea. So the full loop is agent does some tasks. you can tell it, hey, remember this. We could store it into Pinecone or some database, and then later on, the agent can pull that back out as needed.
Okay.
Now
probably better way to save your state too for like previous chats or something like that. Will it save that there if you can specify, or you're just
no? Well, that's kind of separate. So that is like yeah, they're both obviously related because it both ends up happening to be the source for context. But we can be very explicit, saying, hey, thumbs up to this, whatever you just did, and then store that context. And that could be preserved across multiple chats, right? Whereas the initial sessions, the chats that you have, we do store those also, but they're related, but they're not the same thing.
So you think like docs and runbooks are eventually going to have sections for like useful prompts eventually, is what you're thinking too? Maybe even like for vCluster, like we could probably add useful prompts if people are using agents to figure stuff out with vCluster.
Yeah, I mean, that's where you could actually put that into the MCP servers.
There you go.
MCP servers have tools and resources and prompts as their main resources.
That's one thing I haven't actually been able to really set up yet, which is why like I was looking at kagent last. This is like I've looked at all this like the last couple of weeks, right? So I went through the same process as you. I'm like, how do I write an agent now? Because I've got all the LLM stuff running. And like you said, there wasn't anything like really native until this. So like I installed this, messed around for a little bit, but then I didn't get close. I didn't get to the MCP part, right? So like hopefully I can do that next, because that's what the interesting part is, right? Like, oh, this is interesting here, but I want it to be able to go do stuff. I want to be able to go search websites. I want to be able to go do more than like with the new Olama version. You can use GPT OSS 20 billion, but then they also added the search function, right? So you can use a model with search, which means that the information can be more, relevant because it's updated. It's not based on the time that model was trained. It's like I want that for all this stuff too, right? Like go look at this database, go find this information, and actually operate on something, or send me a message in Slack.
One of the tools here, all right, so I'll let you create your agent, and we can actually maybe from this list in the search bar, if you just type doc, what does it show? Docs. Query documentation. There you go. And so we have an out of the box MCP tool that you can instruct your agent, hey, if you're building a Kubernetes agent or an Istio agent, for example, you can say, hey, always check the documentation before responding, right? And so then it will it'll use this tool. What's backing this is a vector database with all the docs from Istio, from Cilium, from Kubernetes, a number of open source projects there that then it can use it as an MCP tool.
I was checking to see if y'all had LLM.txt for your docs yet. Not yet. We recently added that too, and it seems like everybody's trying to add that in so it's easier to find the results, like when you're searching, and it gives like some basic information. But I don't know if everybody's adopted yet, or like how much the LLMs are actually using it, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So I can do docs, and like what you're saying is I can put docs for like if I'm doing vCluster stuff, I can put docs for vCluster. So it always goes and looks at the latest version of vCluster, and the results it gives me, like, hey, why isn't this working? It can go look up the vCluster YAML and the configuration information and be like, well, you misspelled this, or you did this wrong, or this is a default that you didn't turn off, and that's why it's happening.
Yep, exactly.
All right, so let's just add the Kubernetes stuff. So let me so I'm not going to do anything with Helm. I probably want this K8 agent, right? This is the one that's actually going to help me with.
Well, that's the agent itself. So like if you wanted to call out to the agent.
Oh, the one that's not running.
You might not want that one right now. What you could do is add the own tool specifically. Yeah.
All right. So what I want to do is I want to be able to just basically find out more information about what's going on in my Kubernetes cluster. So let me go down here. So I want to be able to, is there like a default? There's one that's like Kubernetes, get resources and stuff like that. So get resources, get resource YAML. I should probably just add all the Kubernetes stuff, right? Let me add all the Kubernetes stuff. Is there a limit on how many things I can add?
20 in the UI, I think. Yeah, it says right there. Yeah.
So I probably don't want to I'm not going to annotate. I can maybe apply manifest. I'm going to check the connectivity. Maybe I'll let me create a resource. But then this is where I fine tune like what I want to allow the agent to do. Like maybe I've got a read only one, right? And all I want to be able to do is look up stuff. Really, all I wanted to do is be able to get resources. So I'm just gonna check that for now. But let me see if there's anything else. Get available API resources.
Get events is a useful one. Get logs.
So the events are useful, right? Because you're using that'll keep you from having to describe on everything, right? Because you're looking for those errors. Okay. Exactly. Yeah, get logs would be good because I want to be able to look at the pod logs. Get resource YAML. I know I need more than 20. I'm just going to add a bunch of them, and then if I'm missing one, I'll come back and I'll change something. So almost all of them.
And that limitation of 20 exists in the UI. You can in the YAML, I think you can add more than 20, but it's more of a guideline or suggestion that you should not add too many tools. The more tools you add, the higher chances that the LLM hallucinates and starts picking the wrong thing.
So maybe if I'm creating an agent that just gets resources, then all I'm doing is calling it a get resources, and it has that one option to get resources, right? And then
you could have a
nested agents after that.
You could call it I guess for lack of a better description, you could just call it, this is the read-only Kubernetes agent.
Okay.
Right. And then you can have another agent that is maybe more privileged, can do certain types of writes. And maybe those, you implement some kind of user consent that goes along with that one, right? So then you can start stringing the agents together. Yeah.
Like this, nest them down and have
exactly
something. All right, cool. So let's do this. So we'll save this. I've got all this. Let me create it, and then hopefully everything is up and working. All right, so cool. So now we've got it. Here it is, right? So I'm going to hit this to start the conversation. I can go and I can edit it. I can change stuff after the fact, like you're saying. So if I want to modify the instructions, I can do that. But now I can see on here, hey, I've got this chat that's going to go talk to my LLM, and it's got all these options. Like I can say, what pods are running. And then I've got another one in a minute that'll be kind of interesting. So I'm going to ask it what pods are running. It's going to show me what it's going to do, and then it's going to show me output.
And so this is using your local model, by the way. Just
this is using right? Yeah, so this is literally hitting the computer that I'm streaming from right now, which it's not slowing down or anything. Like luckily, it's hitting the local model that I'm actually running on Ollama on my local Mac. So I could run it in Kubernetes if I've got GPUs. If I just want to have, if I've just got a couple developers I'm supporting, and I've got like a Mac Studio or something sitting somewhere, and I don't want to run it on there because I don't have NVIDIA GPUs, I can use that. Anywhere that I can run a large enough model to give me useful information, I can do that. So it's going to tell me the arguments it's going to run, right? Like it's going to get pods wide, and then here's like all the output.
So that was the MCP response. Yep, and it looks like the model evaluated that. Yeah.
Yep, and now it's telling me everything that's running, right? So I can also do some other cool stuff. Like I'm running in a vCluster. Does it know that? Like, does the model know that I'm running in a vCluster? Am I running in a vCluster? Let's ask it. I mean, a little hint. I did this earlier, and it's kind of a funny output too. Because like, am I living in a simulation? Is basically what I'm asking. As an end user, they're like, hey, maybe I need to know if I'm running in a vCluster for like some of your users. Maybe they need to know. And let's see. Is it gonna give me? Oh, is it still running? Yep, still running. Sorry, still running. Like it's still going. Like basically. Oh no, it's not running. But it didn't give me the output. Let me ask it. I can't get nodes.
Cluster configuration. So why did it say is not found in the tools?
Let me try it again. Is this cluster a vCluster? Maybe I didn't ask it right. I don't remember what I asked it last time. The output basically last time is like it'll be able to tell because what it's going to do is
look at the.
All right, here we go. Let's wait for the output completely. So the usage, what it's doing right now is like it'll show me the thinking is basically what I'm seeing here, kind of right. Like this is kind of like some kind of like thinking, and then it'll show me in a better readable output afterwards if I am or not, right? It might not understand the question. I might have to ask it like the way I did last time. But basically, what it needs to do is it needs to go check the nodes, right? Like let me see if I can actually see the nodes. Can I run GPU related workloads? Is there an NVIDIA runtime class? We already know there's an NVIDIA runtime class, right? But so this is what we're saying too, is like, I've added so much stuff on here. I also need to have a good enough LLM that's going to be able to logically think about things and give me a right answer, right? Like, cause it's going to take this output and it's going to give me some answer and stuff. So let's see if it's actually getting it. Maybe I didn't add enough stuff too. So what is it doing?
So it's
getting runtime class, sees that there is. It's getting namespaces, so it's getting all the pods. I don't know why it keeps asking for pods. It keeps on like wanting to get pods, but don't really need that. And then we'll
so the interesting bit about that is like the model is the one deciding what tools to call, right? And so it will say, hey, you ask it, hey, is this runtime class here in my cluster? And it'll say, well, what is that? Oh, what tools do I have? How do I find that information? And then, agent, it'll respond saying, hey, go call these MCP servers, tools, whatever, give me the response, and then it'll evaluate the response. So yeah, it looks like it did something, right?
Gave me some information. It says, yeah, the runtime class does exist, right? Like I can do it, right? Like, that's so cool. I thought it was gonna tell me no, because so what's interesting too is tuning this in a way that like maybe I can get reproducible results, right? Because I did this yesterday, messed around with it, and it gave me completely a little bit different results because it's saying that my node, since I'm not sharing up my nodes, I'm only sharing up fake nodes, right? Like it doesn't know that there's a GPU count. It doesn't know that there's replicas and all that stuff, right? So like I asked it a very targeted question. Tell me if there's an NVIDIA runtime class, right? But it doesn't know. It doesn't know if I can do GPU still, right? Because it doesn't have like this GPU column, right? So like it'll give you some useful information. All right, so
you see that thumbs up, thumbs down there in the bottom.
Use that to give it results back, yeah.
So you can say, like, if you give it a thumbs up, click thumbs up. Will it accept that? Yeah, you can say.
Pretty good. I'm gonna give it nothing useful.
Yeah. And so now when we save those thumbs ups in the database, in the chat history, what that means, so we don't have this part yet. And we're still debating whether this is something we build or we provide like guides for how a user would extend this. But once we tag all of the chats with thumbs up or thumbs down, then what we can do is expose that and have another process go and look and say, hey, let me look at all these. Let me look at this interaction. What feedback did you give to the agent? And for the thumbs ups, what we can do is, all right, we can take this, maybe summarize it, and then store it in memory, right? So that later it will, little by little, it'll eventually learn. So you could tune your system prompt. And that's how most people will start off by doing it. You can tune your system prompt and continue to refine it and add more detail and suggestions, guidelines, and so on. But you could also start doing this as telling the agent to remember, hey, this was a good thing that you did. So maybe in the future, consider doing that.
Does the agent do that, or is it just including more stuff in the tokens it's sending it to get the results, right? Like
it's still it's all about the context. Exactly.
Yeah. So it's adding more context based on like the things I'm saying I liked, right? So if I looked at the payload or whatever, like you're saying, it's not the same anymore as it used to be. You're thinking about like the actual information that I'm sending in this thing to the LLM is going to contain the basic thing that I set up, and then it's going to contain all this extra stuff that I keep saying I want it to do like next time, if it's related to the thing I'm asking.
If it's related, exactly. Yeah.
Let's see if it actually tells me. I asked it the same question I did earlier, but I've done stuff a little bit differently this time too. So I don't know if it's gonna give me the same results. It's telling me how to find out if I'm running into vCluster. Last time I did it, I'll give away the hint. Like last time I asked it if it did, and what it did is it went and it got the nodes. I think I have the ability to get the nodes. It went and it got the nodes and it described them and it found like a title.
Hey, why don't you
check the nodes? Yeah. Check the nodes and then tell me. Yeah, it's weird because it's usually you just stop like when you're thinking about something. I'd have to go Google something and like figure things out. So it's weird trying to get into the context. So I can just keep on asking it more and more questions, right? Like I'm not going to annoy it. It's just going to answer stuff endlessly for me, and I can keep on adding more onto it. Now sometimes like my line of reasoning or something like that with an LLM, it doesn't work, and I need to start from scratch because where I'm going is it's getting further and further away from the original answer that I wanted, like with images and stuff like that too. So like what have you learned like with some of your prompting? Like when do you stop the prompts and then just create like a new chat and start over? Is it like after like a couple of minutes of not getting what you wanted, maybe you want to think about things differently so it doesn't use that context from previous requests?
Yeah. I mean, if you're going back and forth and it's not making progress, you can try to say, hey, you know what, actually let's start. You can keep the current chat going, just say, hey, no, let's start back at the beginning. Summarize what you've done and let's start back at the beginning. Or, worst case, I've certainly seen this where you just like, okay, well, the model is this history is not helping the model progress. Let's start a new chat. Yeah.
All right. So, I mean, I've shown this a little bit. This is like this is the basics. This is what you do when you get started on it. Where do I go from here? Right. Like, so I've done this. I've messed around a little bit. Like I'm getting information about my cluster in like a readable output that I can use.
Yeah.
Yeah. Context rot. So like, where what do I do like after this? Like I would build like an MCP or something like that afterwards.
Next stop. Next stop on that train is you've gotten it set up. You're able to use some of the tools to get it to do interesting things. The next thing is to build your own tools potentially.
Let me show. I forgot about one thing. Let me show one more thing off too. Like there's a command line. I can do all this stuff on the command line too, right? Like so, like I'm using this UI and everything. But like say I want to do kagent agents, and I want to use my Kubernetes agent that I just created, right? And then I can do kagent invoke t. What nodes are on this cluster? And then I can say agent. I need to do namespace probably. And then what I'm doing now is I don't have time slicing set up, so let me cancel out this other one where it's like doing all this stuff. I guess I can't end this. It's gonna go until it's done, right? Like, and there's no button to say please stop. So we'll give this a second to finish.
There should be, but if there's not, there might not be, but yeah.
I mean, it's a new project, right? There's a bunch of stuff. Okay, so this is a little bit less readable, right? But like, I asked it to go do this for me, and it did it for me, and it did it to describe it. I don't think can I tell it to do it like in a readable format?
Sure, ask it, and make it readable on a command line.
Tables. All right, let's try that again, and we'll give it a second. And it's coming here, like this is literally hitting my LLM here, so I can do like if. And what's useful for this is I might be able to use this instead of grep, like, or I don't know if people, maybe they'll end up using this instead of using grep or something like that to get the output that they want and then pipe that to something else to do something.
Yeah.
Oh. It's probably more readable if like my text is huge. Nah, it's still not, let me do like line escapes per, and I'm going to keep adding in more. This is working with LLMs, right? Like, add a line between the results. But I feel like it's just giving me a full result like output instead of giving it like, because it looks like it's in.
It's possible that like the command line, like the LLM is responding in a way that if it was responding directly to the command line, it would be readable. But it's going to the kagent command line, and the kagent command line is wrapping it in a JSON response or something and returning that.
Do I have JQ? What is it? JQ? I don't remember what command. Dot some. I don't remember. Whatever. You can output it to like the JQ command. I don't know if I have it installed on here right now, and make it so I can read this a little bit like cleaner. But it's giving me the results, right? Like it's going in, it's getting information about it. It's telling me like what nodes and stuff are in there, so I can interact with it on the command line too if I don't want to use the CLI and I just want to like prompt it something quick or something like that. Or if I want to script that out to where it'll go prompt it, get output, and do things like that too. Yeah. I say like I'm thinking the hard part is changing the mindset from doing things the way you used to do with like scripting and all that stuff, and more so relying on it to give you the information that you need and then run that script for you because it's an agent, right? Like I should be able to say, hey, create this, check the nodes. If this node doesn't have this tag, I need this tag, go add this tag to the node. I don't need to say, give me the nodes. I'll pipe that to something and I'll add the tags, right?
Right. Yeah.
Oh, here's a question too. So Darren Shepard tweeted recently that A2A protocol is dead. What do you think about that, Christian? And given that kagent is supporting A2A.
A2A protocol is
this
dead.
You might know it. Yeah. I think it's like, what's your hot take on it, right? Like probably not dead.
If y'all know Darren Shepard, let's take some of the things that he says with a grain of salt, I guess. But no, A2A is not dead. A2A is thriving. We're starting to see, like I'm working with a big company right now that is building all their agents around A2A. So no, it's not dead.
Awesome. So I'm going to install something else. This is one of the next parts. We'll see if this works. So this is the part that I haven't tested. So I'm going to do some tracing. So what would I want to use tracing for? Like troubleshooting, figuring out things like?
You want to see the path that what tools are being called, what LLMs are being called, and you want to understand what the agent is doing, so that later you will probably want to try to audit and figure out why it did what it's doing. All
right, so I'm installing Jaeger. I'm going to, am I saying right? It's Jaeger, right?
Jaeger, yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, and then I'm going to get the value for kagent and then output that, and then I'm going to edit it, and I'm going to add in this new thing. So I can do tracing. At the end. Nope. I'm going to be lazy. I'm going to do it in VS Code, so it'll actually format it for me. Values, and then what I add this right at the end here. And then save that, and then let's upgrade it again. And then I should have this connected in to where I can do stuff with it. And we'll see if this errors out. I don't think it will. And then, yeah, I'll finish up here soon, Chris. I know you probably have other stuff to do. We'll finish up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going a little bit late. So we'll check this real quick, and then we probably have to end it up in this, and then maybe we'll do something again the next, once there's like a new release for it or something. Like, I'm interested in this. I want to figure out what to build with this, and maybe I'll play around with it and make a video on my side too, but then we can get
take a look. If you just real quickly go to the kagent documentation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Click on the docs button, drop down. Or actually, no, you don't even have to look. Yeah. KMCP. So KMCP is a related project to kagent that allows you to very quickly build MCP servers. Ooh. And then kagent can discover them, and you can pull them into the agents that you build.
So that's where I need to look at next, right? All right, so let me bring this up real quick. I got this. We'll look at this for a second.
Yeah.
And then I have no idea what to do with this now. So like, am I just like putting in? I know there's some stuff in the docs. What am I doing here? Like, I'm looking at services. I'm looking for tags or something.
If you look in all, does it show? And you click. Yeah, just do all the operations. Yeah, your all-in-one won't be the service you're looking for though. When you install this, did you run any more commands?
All I did was update the. This. All I did. My install was just.
Then do some agent interactions. Go back to your agents and prompt it somehow.
Okay, so I've got. This is what I installed. I'm just following like the stuff off the main docs. So I'm not adding anything special. And then this is the install that I did.
Yeah. But okay. So if tracing is enabled, then what you want to do is prompt the agents to do something, and then you should start to see spans.
All right, how many nodes do I have? And then I go back over here.
Yeah, refresh this.
And this is the part that I don't know.
Oh, there you go. So under service.
Okay, hold on. Let's see.
Oh. Under service,
now I got more services.
Should be kagent. Yeah. Now click find traces.
Oh, cool. There you go. So now I can see everything that's happening and like what it's hitting and then like what it's sending and that kind of stuff. That's or at least that it's doing it. Awesome. So like this is just to be able to like do some troubleshooting and different things to see like how things are working and how often it's being used, or like what would I use this for? Like monitor like how many people are using kagent or
well, definitely troubleshooting, but more interesting, especially in the AI scenarios, is what is the agent doing?
Okay.
Right? Because
more insight,
right? Because in a microservices environment, the developers configure and set up, when a service gets this input, call this service. When this
and how long it takes too.
Yep. And so distributed tracing in the microservices environment is much more about what is the call path and where did things slow down, right? Because it's certainly for troubleshooting and debugging. In the agent world, you want that too, but you're not sure what you give the agent some input. You're not exactly sure what it's going to do. What is it going to call?
It's true.
In what sequence, right? As you saw, right?
Yeah.
So the tracing is not just for debugging and troubleshooting. It's also trying to understand causality, and then from there, trying to figure out why it did this.
So we had a question too. Like these are the tokens, right? Like this is token information. I don't know how to use it. This is what I'm sending, right? This is what I'm getting back. And this is what I'm sending again, or something like that.
One of them. The first one's definitely outbound. The second one is return. I am not even sure what that other one is.
It's like that's the idea. Maybe that's the context from the previous stuff or that I've saved or something. I don't know. That was one of the other questions. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Let me wrap it up because I don't want to take up too much of your time. We've already been here for like 54 minutes, and hopefully that kind of showed like the basics of getting started with kagent. Obviously, it runs in vCluster. If you run this on your host cluster, you're gonna get more access. You probably want to fine tune permissions on who can access it at that point because you don't want them finding out everything. If you try to restrict them to a namespace and they're out there getting all the information about the entire cluster because it's hitting the the API cluster without, or the API endpoint with maybe an auth they shouldn't have. I don't know. You want to like lock it down a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
But anyways, all right. So what can people do next? Go to the docs, try stuff out, and if they have issues or anything like that, go to GitHub and like open issues and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So we can.
Or there's a Discord. There's a Discord channel. So yeah, join the. If you're on the Kagent website and click on community, it'll take you to that.
Awesome. So go there, mess around with it. If there's things you can think of, like post it and say, hey, can you add this? Maybe give some other ideas for like things that should be added by default. Yeah. Go watch the community meetings. I've watched like a little bit of like a couple of them when I was just getting started. And then I guess the next thing I need to do is I need to learn more about building the MCP servers instead. So I'll try out this next, and maybe we'll see you again. You're going to be on this channel all the time if you're interested in coming. So like hopefully in a couple of weeks or something like that, maybe I'll have you again for this, and we'll build on top of what we did today and make it a little bit more interesting for people that want to use it in production or use it.
This is a great start. I think if people were to recreate what you've done here, it's already a huge step forward. So yeah, awesome. Happy to be back.
Anything else you want to say before we head out? Sorry to end it real quick. I know Christian's very busy. I did like 50, I think, webinars this week, and you got a webinar right after this.
Customer meetings.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah. No, I think we're good. We're good.
All right, thank you everybody, and we'll see you next time. If you want to rewatch this, it's on YouTube. But see you next time, and watch our YouTube to see what's coming up next. See you later.
Thanks.